Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the CEO Chronicles. And this time, I have someone in the studio who's very, very special to a lot of people, almost 1,400 people as of today. And why is he special? He helps some people make millions every day. And why am I saying that? Because on an average, in a month in BNI, which is Business Network International, the world's largest business networking organization, we easily pass anything above 30, 40, sometimes 60 million as well. And so that, on an average makes that somebody is making a million or approximately. And that's only thanks to Bijay Shah, who is our National Director of BNI UAE, who ensures that we all are a part of a system where we generate business and we also feel like we belong to a big, large family. He also heads BNI Uganda and BNI Kenya as the co-national director. Introducing Bijay Shah. Bijay Shah, welcome to our podcast.
Thank you, Diksha. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here.
Well, I'm honored that you've accepted the invite, and I can't wait to get started with all our interesting, controversial questions. So let's get
we'll see how controversial they are, yeah.
Don't worry about it. I'm nice to people who are nice to me. Okay, great. So, Bijay, for the first question is, you, like I mentioned, that you help people make a fortune almost on a daily basis. There is no count of how many people have literally, gone from rags to riches thanks to the system that you have initiated for us in Dubai. Did you ever think that you would become a medium for the success of so many people, ever in your childhood?
Great question, Diksha. Look, ever since I was young, and I've been brought up in an environment of family business and community. One of my uncles was a great philanthropist and great business person as well. And, as I saw him conduct himself, he made a huge difference in people's lives. And that somehow has been ingrained, helping people, solving problems. In what manner, I never envisioned it. So obviously I did find my calling in what I do in BNI. But I think it was somewhere there. But if you ask me a question, did I ever imagine that I'd be the medium? Not really, no. It's happened by accident, but it's happened because of a love and passion for something, and then that's led to it. And, a lot of people, of course, express their gratitude. But at the end of the day, I think that credit really goes back to them because it's...
By the people, for the people.
We just created an environment.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, those who are receiving the benefits and the returns, it's because of what they're putting in.
Sure, indeed. I completely agree. And I want to know, what was your childhood like? So, where are you from? I believe you're not India born, right?
Not Indian born. So Indian, of course, by
yes.
culture, heritage.
Yeah.
I'm a Gujarati. So my grandfather, when he was probably 13 or 14, might have jumped on a boat from Gujarat and sailed to the East African coast. If anybody's familiar with East Africa, Kenya specifically, we do have a significant Indian community there.
Absolutely.
So this was over 100 years ago.
Was it because of the British Raj that he was being sent to work or something, or did he just want to experiment?
I think so. Naturally, during the colonial times, a lot of people were shipped to that part of the world.
Yes.
But for my grandfather and his peers, they were looking for greener pastures.
Right. Okay.
From what I understand and what I know, they were going through a rough time in Gujarat. And they're literally looking for green pastures. So somebody would have gone across before them to the land in Kenya, saw opportunity. In those times, it was East Africa, and then hosted them. But it took a lot. You can imagine, a 14-year-old jumping on a ship, sailing, not knowing what the future holds, landing in a strange land.
Yeah.
And then, but what that I think did was really build a strong sense of community. And that's where pretty much I get it from. So that was a history, but my childhood, very blessed. Like I said, a family of business, and
What business
been
were you
a-
guys into?
so family business is into books and stationery.
Okay.
And I sit on the family business board. It's professionally managed.
Right.
But I remember when I was little, I would go to the shop and help in putting up the books on the shelf and all of that. In my later years, I would spend my weekends. I didn't need to go to a library. I would go to the bookshop and pick up any book that I like. I was popular simply because in school, everybody would go to our bookshop to buy their books. So I remember, all of our cousins and all of us, when the van comes to pick us up, it's branded, and everybody knows, oh, this is the guy from the
Yes.
family brand, and
Yeah.
it was good. But at the same time, I think I would consider myself very fortunate
Touch
to
wood.
have been able to be in that environment and been brought up in that environment.
Very nice. No, I completely agree. And you and I also have something else in common. We both studied at Cardiff. And of course, years apart. I think I was probably. When did you go to Cardiff?
I started my bachelor's in Cardiff in 1990.
I was born in 1991.
Before you were born. Amazing,
Before I'm
amazing,
born.
amazing.
Look
amazing.
at that.
Yeah,
So you went for your bachelor's. It's about 3 years. What did you study?
So I did a bachelor's in banking and finance.
Right.
I was fascinated with the world of finance, banking. If you ask me what my favorite game was when I was a child, I would always
Monopoly?
pick up a board of Monopoly. I would say, I'm going to be the banker.
Oh, yeah.
I play by the rules.
Get all the cash.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. So
Sure.
I was fascinated by that. And, my career I began was in banking.
But you didn't decide to continue in UK?
I couldn't.
Okay.
So I graduated in 1993.
Sure.
And in that time, the global economy was going through a deep recession.
Indeed. Yes.
Being from Kenya, I didn't really have the British rights.
Sure.
So getting employment, if you were to compare that to today, for foreign students was not easy.
But don't you hold a British passport? Because a lot of Kenyans
Now I
then.
do. There's another story around that.
Oh, okay.
But it wasn't at that time.
It wasn't that. Right.
And then I went on to pursue a master's in shipping, trade, and finance.
Okay.
So I graduated in 95, but even then, so when I went back home in 95, I did start with a bank in Nairobi.
In Nairobi itself. Nice. Talk to us about your British passport. What happened there? How did you get that? After leaving.
If my father-in-law is listening to this, he'll be very proud of himself.
You married a brother who had
And
one?
I did, yeah, but it wasn't for that. It wasn't for that. But he loves that
Oh, no.
credit that
Yes.
my
I
daughter,
give you the British passport.
it's because of her, and I'm thankful and
Sure,
grateful
of
for
course.
it.
Yes.
But Kenya being a colony, when it
British
gained
colony,
independence,
Yes. Yes.
a lot of families had businesses, and they were given a choice
Sure.
that if you want to continue doing business, you got to take the Kenyan citizenship.
Wow.
And many businesses were family owned, a lot of family, meaning there'll be multiple brothers. And of course, a lot of things were uncertain. So what all families would do, one brother would take up the Kenyan citizenship, the others would still retain their British passport.
Okay.
So a lot of people happen to keep their British citizenship. In Anuradha's case, my wife, her dad had the
Opportunity to do so.
British, so she naturally was a British
Obviously.
passport.
Yes. Yes.
In our family, my uncle and my grandfather were staunch. They're like, this is the land that we are born in, this is the land we live off. Our foot is going to stay firm here. So there was nobody in our family who took up the British passport. Everybody was Kenyan, which is fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
I met Anuradha, we all call her Anna, in Cardiff.
Yes. Oh, wow. You met. Oh, wow. That's a nice story.
Yeah, we started going
I
out.
didn't meet anyone in Cardiff.
You didn't?
No, I
Ah.
didn't meet anyone in Cardiff. The sad life.
So
But
we
yes,
met
you
there,
her.
and then we started going out.
Right.
Eventually, we got married. So it was through that I was able to acquire the British passport. So I have a
Right.
dual now. But she knows I didn't marry her for the
For
passport.
for the
was
passport,
just
yeah, of
something
course.
that came part of the package.
Yeah.
But very, very grateful because it does make a big difference.
100%. So I was going to talk about this. So you married Anuradha before you came to Dubai.
Yes, we got married. She's a pharmacist by profession.
Right.
So, she continued her studies in the UK. She continued working in the UK. And then we got married in 1998 in Kenya. And then soon after, we decided to move to the UK for a whole lot of different reasons. But it's not a place I could live my life out. I didn't see myself be able to retire in that part of the world. Purely, weather, climate.
Yeah, totally.
But then the West versus, what's Kenya like? Great, lovely place. And Dubai was a great in-between. So we found ourselves here and have never looked back since. It's 20 years.
So I want to know what brought you to Dubai.
So, like I said, I couldn't
Find
see
yourself in
myself
UK, yeah.
living in the UK, spent 3 years there. And in those days, so you're looking at 2001, 2002.
Sure.
What would happen is every time we would fly anywhere, especially out of Kenya, all these airlines in those days, they had Gulf Air, they had Emirates as well.
Yes.
They would have special offers. Even today they do, right? That stopover in Dubai.
Free.
And then
Transit
you
is
get
free,
special, 2 nights in a fancy hotel and all that.
Sure.
We would end up spending some time here. So we did about 3 or 4 trips like that.
Right.
And that's how we came to know this place. Dubai, of course, was very different those days, but still very appealing and very, still,
Yeah,
good.
rosy. And it was nice, of course. It was brilliant.
So I remember the first time I landed here, maybe I manifested it. I did say, I said, this is a place I'd love to come and
Settle down.
live in. But that was done purely out of, you go on vacation somewhere,
And you just like a place and you say, listen, this makes sense to
but
me.
in 2001, 2002, they had made announcements about the palm and all of that. So what was I doing in London at that time? I was working for an American stockbroker. So we were looking at, it's just both of us. Where can we look at what sort of places? I didn't want to learn a new language. Didn't want to go too far. Our families, our parents were still back in Kenya. And Dubai seemed to fit that bill. So it was a matter of, getting a few appointments, interviews. And, Anna was very happy when I said to her that, hey, would like to come to Dubai. She was like, no ways, absolutely no ways. I'm very happy, very settled. And I kind of sold her into it. I said, look, so what happened was we made a trip here. I said, we'll spend 2 weeks now with a different lens. We're not on holiday. What would it be like to live and work here? And that's what we came out. And it was pure coincidence.
And what year was this?
2002, I believe.
Okay.
I think 2003, actually. Just around 2002, 2003. And we happened to be here, and I get a call from a lady. She says, I'm calling from BNI. And I'm like, what's BNI? She said, well, you visited one of our chapter meetings a few months ago, and we are ready to launch a chapter, and we'd like to invite you. This was back in London. She was calling me on my mobile. And I remember, I said, yes. There was this early morning thing. I did visit. I wanted to join. So that's the whole story in itself. Anyway, she called, and I said, I didn't really know much about BNI. I didn't know that it was global. I didn't know the scale. But I did know that this is a great place.
This has potential,
to network.
Yes.
Because I wanted to be part of it, and I couldn't.
And you couldn't, right.
And the reason I couldn't, because my category was taken. Every chapter I went to about 3 or 4 chapters. So I forgotten about it, and I got on with life, got busy. So when we came here and that happened, without thinking, I said, yes, I'll come. Because I knew that following week we're going to go back. But now I was thinking, hold on, we don't know anybody in Dubai. Maybe I need to join a BNI in Dubai. Thinking that just like we have lions and kiwanis.
Of course, yes.
So I started looking, I started doing some research. I said, okay, is there a BNI in
Dubai? Yeah.
And there wasn't.
Yes.
So when I went back, I started asking questions. I said, so tell me more, how does this work, who is behind it? Eventually, I got on the line with Dr. Ivan Weisner himself, and he assumed that I'm from the UAE. Not that he thought I was an Emirati, but he wouldn't really much know how it is out here.
Right.
And he said, "Yeah, I would love to have a BN out there. Would you be interested in taking it up?" And I said, "Yeah, it'd be nice to probably have a couple of chapters." So the whole purpose, we were never looking at it as a big vision. It was, what, we don't know anybody.
Right.
If you're looking at moving out over here, I'll need a network.
Yeah.
You'll have a couple of chapters, probably about 50 people. That becomes your circle, and you move on from there. That's it, really. So that's how it all started.
Wow. I mean, a random phone call out of nowhere, which, I mean, we make to so many people today saying, hey, visited our chapter. And I don't know if anyone would actually come up and say, listen, I'd rather launch. So, yeah, that's a good story.
Everything happens for a reason, yeah.
Indeed. When did Biana launch in Dubai?
So we launched our first chapter on the 14th of September, 2005.
Okay, so 2 years after this incident.
So we made the final move here in November of 2004.
Okay, so a year after that, say, technically.
So I was tripping in and out, we were still kind of contemplating.
Right.
So once we moved here, we made a firm decision that in addition to what I'm going to be doing work-wise, maybe we ought to start looking at BNI seriously. We, I think it was around February, March of 25, we traveled to the US where we got trained and we signed up for the opportunity. Again, very fortunate in those days because a couple of weeks before we were due to fly out, I get a call from Beth, who was Dr. Ivan Meisner's wife.
Yes.
She's passed on, unfortunately, in
yes.
COVID. She calls and says, I believe you are coming to get trained and you're taking up this opportunity. Can I please invite you and ask you to come and stay with us? You're not going to be staying in a hotel. And we were like, ooh. I'd obviously researched more about the couple, and they are a power couple. They're like celebrities back in the US.
Yes.
So to be invited, I mean, to us, they're still strangers, right?
Of course.
And to be able to, or to be invited to stay in their home. Not just going out for a meal. That's like,
just going for a meal is different. Listen,
exactly.
I'm invited for dinner, but staying is different.
So, but then I learned later that's how we build relationships.
Yeah.
In those days, of course, now it's all different. But
now it's different.
any new franchisee, he would invite them so that he can spend time with them, live with them.
Wow.
And that's how we really. So I think we were just very lucky to have been able to.
So have you invited Pankaj, Satyan, Amidst to stay with you?
They're invited to stay with us. Well, we all live in the same city, right? So don't know to. I'll tell you what we did, and we haven't had a chance to do that with them. And we only started franchising out recently.
Yes.
But a few years ago, when we had our senior team of director consultants, we did all go on a weekend on safari because that's where we're from. So we wanted to invite them back home and give them a taste and flavor of how it is. So I'd love to do this with our growing
Let's do it.
team of executive directors.
I want to go. Yeah. Because the thing is, last time I visited Africa was in 2010.
Wow.
Very, very long time ago. And I remember the safari at Serengeti. We did even Morogoro and stuff. It was just, And I was in Tanzania. That was the base. And in fact, last week we had someone else who was coming down from Africa who was a travel agent. So he wants to talk about all the stuff. I love how Africa has such nice fruits and vegetables. They're so juicy. They're just like you, and I love how you see the stars so up close because it's closer to the equator. At least Dar es Salaam and that area. And I was like, we don't get to see this in Dubai and even in India, and it's not easy. India has so much pollution, you can't see anything.
It's a light pollution, and then of course clear sky.
Africa is still very natural.
It is.
It's away from all of these things. So transition back to Dubai. You launched Dubai BNI UAE in 2005.
Yeah, that's when we launched our first chapter.
Falcons.
So the BNI Falcons, and we sort of, that's the official sort of launch date, you could say, of BNI in the UAE.
But you know what, Bijay? See, when I am able to perhaps put myself in the shoes of someone who has not been a part or a member of a formal BNI chapter. Look, the journeys of Amit Vardhan or Pankaj or even Satyan are very different. Even Dr. Anil, because they've been members for a very long time. They know they have adapted to the system. They breathe in and breathe out. So it's like it's still easier to transition there. BNI has so much training, so much to know, so many calculations. Was it really difficult to transition into something like this?
I won't say it's difficult. It's been a lot of hard work,
Yes,
no doubt about it.
Yes.
I think we just had some amazing mentors because even in those days, as new countries were launching, a lot of these franchisees were either members in another part of the world, or I think we were probably, Anuradha and myself, were the first franchisees who had no BNI experience in any case.
Wow.
But then we were very lucky to have gotten some amazing mentors.
Who took you through it?
Who took us through it. There was a gentleman by the name of Bijay Shah, who was the first national director for BNI in India.
Oh, right.
Neeraj and I were buddies from school back in Kenya.
Wow.
And it was pure coincidence that he happened to have taken that opportunity, and then, we connected or reconnected. He had a partner called Niri Patel.
Right.
Who was based out of UK in Yorkshire.
Yes.
So, give us game at that level. These are people who throw themselves at you to help you.
Correct.
And that's what they did.
Indeed.
And then, we were like just soaking everything in. I think when you love what you're doing, it is, but yeah, that's one thing. Talking about being members, I say to all of our team, one thing that all of you can, talk about, and I will never ever be able to, is I've never been a member.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably one thing that
you miss. You wish.
When I hear the stories, when I see
Yeah.
what they have, then the relationships, it's a different level altogether.
I know.
So I envy our BNI members because I've never been a member. Yes, I love what I do. It's been, very rewarding, but never had a member experience, unfortunately.
See, I think this brings me to one of my next questions where I've been having this discussion with a lot of people that it's really lonely at the top. And I know Satyan particularly has even asked in one of the forums that, now that he's not a member, people view him differently. So even in terms of getting invited to random socials or, coffee outs and this and that, how is it that you manage? Okay, let's just put it this way. You wanted to build BNI to have a network, but now you're sitting at the top of the food chain. And, where perhaps you have a very close-knit set of people that you can perhaps network, etc. Indeed, you won't have any other regular BNI member just, directly approach you and say, hey, Bijay, let's have, coffee this afternoon, etc. How do you feel lonely at the top?
It does feel lonely at the top, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. For multiple reasons. When you're in that position that you're in, yes, you can develop a relationship to a certain level, but at the end of the day, it's not the same. They're not peers. And you got to keep an arm's length.
Yes.
Or it happens naturally.
It does.
Anna and I just got back from our summer break. We have family in the UK, family in Kenya. We spent time in Kenya and in the UK this summer. And we've been here for 20 years. So, our son is going to go back to the UK, to university. Aryan is going to go to... So, we spent some time this summer also kind of researching, doing his applications. We officially declared to the whole family that this is home, because one of the questions we always got asked is, so how long are you guys going to be there till? And then when eventually it's like, you're going to go back somewhere.
Yeah.
And a couple of years ago, we officially declared that
this is
UAE is home for us.
Yes.
And when we made that decision, it was for a number of different reasons. Yes, we have a fantastic network, great extended family. And then if you look at what this place has got to offer.
Of course.
So we're very happy.
Yeah.
But then even having made that declaration and, communicated that, every time we travel, that's one void I think we still have. That support system is great, but it's never, we are strong on family. We have strong family values. It's a journey.
It's a journey.
And
I think it's a cost that you have to pay. That's it.
I guess so.
Can't
You know,
dream with
one of the things
too
we are
much.
lucky that we get to
Yeah.
travel frequently
Yes.
throughout the year.
Yes.
And then, yes, there are some members who we've developed a very, very strong relationship.
With, yes.
But still, I envy our members.
Oh, yes.
It's not the same.
I get you. I exactly feel what you're saying. So we'll talk about you. So my days in BNI, when I got inducted, you were the national director. We did not have any franchises, etc. This was in 2019 when I had got inducted in BNI. And then a year later, I think Pankaj took up and so. Why did you decide to give out franchises?
Well, there was always a plan. It just got delayed. We have a master franchise for the organization.
Sure.
When we first came out here, like I said, when we signed up, I never envisioned that we were going to have a large community. So, we said we'll have a few chapters in Dubai and that's it pretty much.
I think we were about 15, 16 at that time.
Yeah, well, even less.
Even
if you
less,
talk about the
perhaps.
early years.
Yeah.
I had somebody call me up from Abu Dhabi all the way back in 2006.
Right.
So, a year after we launched,
Yeah.
saying we want to launch a chapter in Abu Dhabi. I said, yeah, let's do it. And we did. And I would drive to Abu Dhabi, which is only about an hour's drive from where we were staying in
Sure.
Marina.
Sure.
Shouldn't be difficult, right?
Yeah.
An hour's drive. And my mentors, back in different parts of the world, US, a lot of them in those days, in the US, they would make a trip to go to the chapter meeting for an hour. They'll drive an hour.
I know, because it's so scattered.
Exactly.
They don't have it so close
and
to
I
each other.
remember my days in the UK,
Yeah.
you'd end up long distance driving.
Indeed. It was very normal. It's not
So
considered a big
we
deal.
said, yeah, Abu Dhabi, we can
Yes.
support a chapter there.
Yes.
We didn't quite work out because to support them, you got to be on the ground and resident there. It's not about just attending a meeting once a week. It's about doing one-to-ones and so much else, right? So we managed, but then eventually we had to get somebody else to support that. So a realization did come that if we're going to have chapters in Abu Dhabi, forget Dubai, but Abu Dhabi, it's going to be not easy and we're going to have somebody. So that's something we did. We didn't franchise it out, but we appointed somebody. Coming back to Dubai, we were comfortable. We had a cluster of chapters in the Trade Center area.
Sure.
We had a cluster of chapters in Marina area.
Yeah. And we had it there.
We were living in Dubai Marina.
Nice.
We had a couple of chapters in.
Yeah, we had Continental.
The
Synergy,
region is
etc.
Dera, but really
Yes.
it was the Dubai Creek Golf Club.
Yes.
So again,
yes.
a fancy
the
venue, right?
was lovely. Yes.
And we were comfortable.
Yeah.
Everything was great.
Yeah.
And then we had a realization that, hold on, because we continue getting inquiries of people wanting to be part of this. And venues are always a challenge.
Yes.
And I remember looking at Dubai's map, and Dubai is a city which is continuing to grow. I mean, today they've announced a rail network.
Yes. Yes.
When we came here, the population of the city was less than 1 million. Today
Yes.
is, I think, about 3.5 million roughly.
Sure. Sure.
So when we got serious and we said, hold on, and our duty and obligation, one of the things in BNI, Diksha, is, if I ask you in your business what you do professionally, you can choose, and of course it's not easy, but you'll find ways to grow if you want to.
Sure.
But you can also choose at a time where this is enough and I'm going to cap it here and this is where I'm going to be.
Right. Right.
We can't do that in BNI.
I know.
Because we have a duty and responsibility. I cannot say no to somebody saying, I want to be part of it. So when the demand for your product or service is high, and it's a business, but it's community service at the same time.
No,
right?
but tell me, if somebody comes and asks, listen, I want a franchise, and you say, sorry, I don't want to give off.
Well, once you're franchised out, you can't. But membership.
Membership, yes, you can't say no.
You
Correct.
can-
Members keep growing, you can't say no.
Chapters keep launching.
Right.
Members keep
right.
growing.
That is true. That is true. You can't say no.
So we were at the stage and we were like, okay, now if I'm living in Marina, and if you honestly ask me, do I want to go into the heart of Dera
Right.
to support a chapter?
Right.
I may be like, nah, I'm comfortable where I am. So I said, hold on. We got to find people who'd be happy to do this. And at the end of the day, talking about business and fortune, if we let others and share that pie and make that pie bigger for everybody.
So we eat bigger, we eat better.
It's a win-win-win for everybody.
I agree.
And that's what we did.
Yeah.
Nobody imagined that, Dubai would be 6 regions. I never imagined it.
Yeah.
And even today in cities, I think Dubai is probably the most, if you compare BNI in so many cities. Mumbai, you know how many members there are in Mumbai?
No idea.
5,500 members.
Wow,
Just Mumbai. Now, Mumbai is probably about 2 or 3 regions.
Oh, right.
It's a massive city.
Yeah. And there's no comparison to the UAE's population. I mean, we're 3.5 million. Mumbai is God only knows how much, and they just have 1,500.
Yeah, the population of Mumbai or Greater Mumbai must be over 10 million.
Yes,
right?
yes. And 5,000 just in there, that's not...
So that's a region managed, but then,
right.
That's a whole different thing. So
of course, every geography is different.
Exactly,
yes,
exactly.
Yes.
So, we made a conscious decision.
Right.
We looked at the map, we got it out, and that's what we did.
Amazing. So, see, when I think about anyone coming and asking me, listen, and I've been offered investment opportunities, etc., and I'm like, no, this is my thing. I don't want. It's difficult for me to give a part of my baby, my creation to someone else. Was it difficult letting go of that thing that when perhaps Pankaj was signing the first franchise with you? And then, saying, okay, so this is yours. I'm not going to be, taking any control over it. You run this the way this is. This is my terms and conditions. And so I'm not going to be interfering in your daily tasks and all that. Was it difficult to let go of?
I wouldn't say it was difficult because I knew, both Anna and I knew that to grow, we're going to have to add to the team. It's still, look, it's a franchise model, Diksha. If anybody understands franchising, the brand, you still maintain ownership and control of the brand. And these are, 5-year contracts anyways.
Sure.
They're very fat contracts.
So what happens after 5 years? You
They're
either
renewable,
renew
yeah,
or you don't renew?
Well, if you choose to.
If you
but
choose
of course, there's a lot of trust and relationship.
Sure.
But whoever is coming in, our franchise is also a 10-year
contractual
contract.
thing.
Yeah.
Really? I did not
for
know.
life. No, it's just a franchise. Really? Any franchise system anywhere in the world.
Yeah, it's contractual.
It's like land or building. Unless you own the land outright and freehold. In many cases, that would be the case. But lease is a very common thing, right? So you have a lease, and lease has expiry. At the end of that period, the person who is leasing that space out to you to choose.
Okay.
But if you understand brand,
yes.
if you understand business,
yes.
And you're creating value. Now, if you choose not to renew somebody, that doesn't mean they lose it all. They've created value, so they could actually sell it. They've created value like any other business.
Sure.
And then they can find somebody else who can buy that.
Or you find somebody else that can buy that and they get the buyout. Okay. Tell me, in what situations would you ever choose not to renew anyone's contract? Like, what would push you to that level, saying that, okay, fine, now if this is done, I'm not going to renew?
Look, it's all contractual.
Right.
All our franchises have what we call development schedules.
Right.
These development schedules, so basically you want to make sure that they're growing.
Sure.
But they're not hard targets. They're not like, these are schedules which would have anybody sleep at night peacefully. But put it this way, if you got 100 members and 5 years later, you're still 100 members?
Then something is wrong.
I would need to. But then that should not be a surprise to that person.
Yes.
Because, we're in touch regularly. We review on an annual basis.
Sure.
So we do need to see some growth.
Of course.
And something which is realistic and normal. So, do we want to see 1,000 members at the end of 5 years?
Perhaps
That'd
not.
be fantastic. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So it needs to be something which is reasonable,
tangible,
fair, sustainable.
Yeah.
So just like our members, right? It's progressive.
It's progressive.
When a member
Correct.
comes in, you're not expecting them to start generating business and referrals overnight.
Correct.
But at the end of the year, you say, okay, how are you doing? And then you provide and offer support.
Yeah.
Coaching. If that still doesn't work, then you say, hold on, guys, you need to do that. what happens is sooner or later, if they have lost the passion to do this, they themselves will find somebody else who can take over. It's a business like any other. So it's not something that anybody should be, and I would not be worried about it.
Totally.
It's a natural journey.
Of course. And now comes my controversial question, which is, we as, I would say, old members of BNI, okay? I'm 5-year-old, and we've seen BNI when it was in your, under your jurisdiction. And then, of course, when 2020, Pankaj takes over, 2021, Amit takes his own thing. I think 23, 22, Satyan takes up. 23, not this year, Dr. Anil takes up. So, obviously we have different, and Suresh also has come in. So, while we have rapidly expanded, okay, and we have gone into 1,400 members and so, there's always a debate on the question of quality of members. Okay, saying that no, people are always comparing. In our times, we used to do this, and this was the criteria, and now it's like, okay, this is it. To what extent do you agree to this, and to what extent do you think that this should be bothering someone like us, like us members?
You got to really ask. I mean, look, you mentioned all the different names: Amit, Pankaj, Satyan. But if you really ask yourself, is it the people or is it the chapters? Let's remove all those names.
Okay.
Let's keep one name common, Bijay Shah.
Fine.
And you can add Kunal if you want to, because he heads our region. In central Dubai, we have 10 chapters.
Yes.
Are all those 10 chapters shining and performing where we would love them, or the members? Are the members in those chapters? We have chapters which have just launched.
Yes.
And we have legacy chapters which have been around for the last
15, 16 years. Ever since you guys started Falcons, for instance, has been, it's been
so if you look at it at the region level, the new chapters, it's new. The people are new. They're not going to be at that level. So talking about quality improves over time. And then if you look at within chapters, you're going to have, if you take a 10-year chapter, you're going to have members who've been around for 10 years, and you've got members who've just joined. And even there's a difference. So I think it's easy for people to point a finger to a name, and these are new regions, but if they just look at it within, and they ask themselves, hold on, let's look at the chapters within. So talking about quality of members and the experience and all of that, it takes time. I think people and members might be making a big mistake pointing a finger to somebody.
Yes. I think we become too judgmental also.
Yeah.
At times.
And ask yourself, at the end of the day, I ask every member, what are you doing?
Correct.
And what can you do? Take up a role.
And make a difference.
Absolutely.
If you want to. Correct. So I'll tell you my journey. I joined BNI I keep saying this, when I actually had nothing. And I was just 6 months old into business. And for me, even the 6,000 dirhams was a massive investment. My mom was a part of a kitty group, and she'd gotten those funds from there. And then we were like, okay, what should we do? We're like, okay, let's just invest it here and see what happens. If I put myself, a few years behind and so, and then I just say, I'm so grateful that BNI accepted me, regardless of not having a physical office space and perhaps not having a TRN certificate and so on, because we're really, really small. And I'm so glad that I've come up, and really I think I'm a pure BNI baby. Everything in my firm has actually happened because of BNI. So there's unprecedented growth. So I think this is what we should be understanding at the end of the day, that we don't know whose life would we be impacting. We think that, okay, this person may not be quality because he may not have the potential to give me business, but doesn't he deserve a platform where he can grow.
Absolutely.
If we become so particular about the whole quality, none this, not this person, not that person, at the end of that, we are depriving so many people of a potential opportunity, and God knows who may grow up and outgrow BNI also.
Exactly.
There have been people. We have an incidents where people have really gone out. So I think that's there. A lot of serious conversations we've had. Now let's play a game. Okay, I'm going to be mentioning a few describing a few people, and let's see if you're able to guess who I'm talking about. Okay, so let's see where that goes.
Is there a prize?
Oh, Bijay Shah, trust me. I would love to. I can renew for 2 years. My renewal is due if you want me to. And that's the most.
There was a time when we were smaller, I would remember everybody's names.
Right.
Now I go into a room and I don't even recognize half the people. And if I were to be out on the street or in a mall, I wouldn't even know if they're being a member. So yeah, it gets more and more difficult.
It does. And see, Bijay, nobody is really expecting you to know 1,400 members. It's not easy. And I'll make it easy for you. I mention people that I know you know.
Okay.
So that's all right. Okay, number one, let's get started. He purchased your first region.
Purchased our first region. So that's a trick question.
Yes, I know. That's the reason I asked.
None other than Pankaj Gupta.
All right. Okay. Got that right. Okay. Tall, handsome, always appears in a BNI branded jacket.
Yeah, he loves the BNI brand. That has to be Satyan Babla.
It is. I always see him in that brand. That shows so much love. Okay. Enthusiastic colored hair, and she is known for traveling.
Oh my God, colored hair. Which of our members? There are many who's got colored hair.
And she's known for traveling, so that's a cue.
Traveling. If she's in the travel business, I would like to think that's Himali.
Yes, you are absolutely right.
But
Look,
definitely she doesn't have purple or red hair. She
has like regular colored hair, like blonde hair.
Yeah.
So, yeah. No, we don't. I mean, do we have anyone with red purple hair?
You'd be surprised. Yeah, we might.
I don't know. Okay. Your youngest DC and the one who currently heads 2 of your chapters, the only one.
The only one has to be Diksha.
Oh, yes. I'm glad you know. Yes. Okay. A coach who gives oxygen to your largest chapter.
It is our largest chapter, and it has been for a long, long time. That has to be Munir.
Yes, you are right. Doctor, who heads your youngest region?
Yeah, that's an easy one. Youngest region, literally just born, Dr. Anil.
Nice. Okay. Experienced, charming is often addressed by a fruit name.
Oh gosh, there are lots of fruits out there, but surely you can't call somebody a banana or a strawberry. And this is their brand, so it has to be watermelon, I believe.
Yes, it is watermelon. And Pankaj calls him watermelon. He's like, just call him watermelon. I'm like, he's Pradeep, so he has a name. Amazing guy, another person. Okay. At this point in time, I want to ask you, and we're towards the conclusion of our podcast, what is one achievement that you're absolutely proud of?
One achievement, I'm not sure if I can really say one achievement. I think there are more achievements to come. Every day I wake up with pride because of what we see and, when I hear member stories. So there are lots of achievements. If I'm absolutely proud of it, it's the whole thing that what we're doing out over here. And it's a team that we have, the family have. I could say, and I don't know if this is an official recorded achievement, but if you look at our community in this part of the world, I think we're playing a game which is an A game when it comes to BNI.
Yes.
And very proud of that.
Awesome. And everyone has life goals. Everyone wants to achieve something in life. Do you feel you have achieved it all and you think you're done? Or do you think that there's still a larger room of things you want to do and you want to grow or something?
Yes, there is room for growth.
Yeah.
I would love to achieve more, get more done, do more. But it is something that I'm racing towards or I'm fighting for. No, I'm a kind of person who takes everything in its stride. So, our journey in BNI, I never envisioned it, but here we are. Yes, we have a vision for 2025. So we are at 1,400 members, and I'd love to see us cross
The
2025 members.
Yes.
And then the question is, what next, right?
Yes.
So we'll come to that. But yeah, I think there's so much more that can be done in so many different ways.
Sure.
Member numbers is just only a little thing, but it's making a difference in people's lives out
Absolutely.
there. And as long as I live, I'd love to continue doing that in whichever way I can, and I'm blessed and fortunate to be able to do.
Amazing. So this is our last question. At this point in time, we ask our guest, our special guest, to ask me anything that they wish to. So from BNI to my journey to anything, a member-specific question that you wish you could have asked anyone, you can ask anything.
So one of the questions you asked me, who is that one DC the only DC who supports 2 chapters, right? So my question to you, Diksha, is what is your message to anybody listening out there who either is or may want to become a BNI member, but looking beyond and saying, okay, why do you do what you do in your role as a direct consultant supporting 2 chapters?
So, Bijay, my why is very, very business oriented. And I think that's because I want to be honest about it. I do understand the value of influence. Okay. And I've said this previously also. I read a lot of history books. And there's this conversation between Bajirao and his mother in a book called Rao. So very few people know that Bajirao never had an official schooling experience. His brothers and sisters went to school. He did not go because he was too out of control, and his mother taught him at home. So all that he did was basically something that his mother taught him. And in a conversation, he's asking his mother that what can defeat strength? And his mother says, it is speed. So if you put an elephant, and how can I compete with an elephant? I cannot challenge him. But if I ask him to run as fast as a horse, and I'm on the horse, he can't run. So the only way, so if I were to say this in Hindi, ताकत को तेजी हराती है, तेजी को बुद्धि, और बुद्धि को आत्मा की शुद्धि. So the first is ताकत को तेजी, like speed takes over strength, and your brains take over everything, and then it's a pure heart that goes above all.
Love it.
Okay, so like nothing can beat a pure man's pure intention. Okay, so this thing. So for me, I run a very small organization, and if I have to compete with the likes of people who have bigger offices, bigger spaces, and so on, I can only compete on influence. And by going up into the ladder of BNI and taking up roles and doing things, that's how I can meet more people and expose myself to more people. But it is not just that by being a DC, I would be getting business. I have to show people that I'm actually creating value in their lives, which is how my role as a DC helps me to impact their lives, where I help them in terms of how do they utilize BNI for their larger benefit. In doing so, I'm able to understand them. I'm able to talk them through it. I'm perhaps even able to help them out in, my many other ways, and maybe get some connect somewhere or the other that could help me grow my business.
Love it.
So I think my original intention is very commercial, but it ends up actually giving me a much higher purpose, or making me a part of a higher purpose. Because today, this is the 3rd chapter I'm supporting. Like, I've supported United, then I'm with Givers and Legends now. And when I still have the United guys coming and saying that, thank you, Diksha, because of you, we were able to nail this referral, or, we were able to close this business, or you connected us or something. That satisfaction, any amount of millions of dollars, etc., cannot bring.
There you are.
So I think at the end of the day, it is, you sleep peacefully. I think this is what being a DC has taught me, and I owe a lot to Pankaj because when he asked me to become an ambassador, I was really young. I was 29 when I became a president. I was 30 when I became an ambassador, and I was like, okay. And for someone like him to trust someone so young and say, go and, this is my chapter and this is what it is, meant so much to me. And when he actually approached me, said, Diksha, you know what, I want you to take up givers. I said, okay, I'll do it. I want to take up legends. Okay, I'll do it. Because this is this thing in BNI. The people that are around you, in some time, you begin to trust them so much that you understand they'll do you no wrong. And if they're saying something, they're saying it for your benefit. Indeed, I'm not saying that go and be a people pleaser and say yes to everything. Indeed, weigh all the opportunities. But I think at the end of the day, what happens is you take your time. And once you take up these roles, you expose yourself to bigger people, other people, and you get more opportunities to serve and grow as an individual and everywhere else.
And there's nothing wrong. So that you're doing it for the right reasons, right?
Yeah.
You mentioned commercial.
Yes.
In my definition, if somebody says commercial, look, let's not make any qualms about this. When you're appointed as a DC or an ambassador, there is some kind of compensation or remuneration attached to it.
Sure.
If you are to value that to the time that you put in.
Yeah. That's not
That's
proportional.
Exactly.
We don't do it for money.
Absolutely. So I think that's something that I would like everybody to know, that yes, DCs and ambassadors do get paid.
Yeah.
But two things. Whatever they get paid.
It's a token of appreciation. Yeah.
Exactly. And secondly, no one of those
Yes, do it for
that. And if they did, they're probably doing it for the wrong reasons.
Absolutely.
Totally, right?
Absolutely.
So the value, the benefit that you're receiving in everything else that you explained, that in my opinion is the right reason.
Yes.
And that's what gives gain is, right? It's about receiving it in so many different ways.
Correct.
You can't really put a value to it, but you know that this is worth doing.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Thank you, Bijay. It was a pleasure having you. It was such a wonderful conversation, touched on so many different aspects. So everyone watching us, if you are not a BNI member still, contact me. I have places in my chapter. In case I can't get in my chapter, we'll get you anywhere else. And BNI is the way that you can do business really well, create bigger chapters, impact, create larger impact, interact with people, take inspiration. People have grown. I have grown. Many others sitting here have grown. So thank you so much, Bijay, for your time.
Most welcome, and it was lovely. It was fun.
I'm glad. And I'll see you guys soon at the next episode of CEO Chronicles. Till then, take care, stay safe.